So I don't think people understand how I live in America, right? I don't know where you live, but I live in America. I don't think people understand the importance of change happening, right? When there's like cycles, it's not just nature cycles, right? There's cycles of how the marketplace and not just talking about stocks, right? I'm talking about the cycle of life, bruh, right? And how it breaks down, right? It's like there's different cycles to make things work, to make things flow. You don't want the vibrations to be stagnated, right? Where nothing's going on. Nothing's going on. Boredom is all you know. Nah, right? Nah. It's called taking control. And it don't mean you got to be productive 24/7, right? It just means you need to understand where you're at. Understand the climate of the place that you live, the community that you live in, the resources that you have access to, right? It's understanding the pros and cons of your environment, pretty much, right? The pros and cons of your environment. Now, I'm not saying America is the best place, right? But I haven't lived in other countries like that. I've lived in Costa Rica, so I have a good amount of experience in that arena. And in terms of weather changes and whatnot, if you live over there, if you've been over there and visited, there's a heavy rain season, an extensive heavy rain season. Um, and honestly, it's just understanding what's going on for where you're at, right? So when I was living in Costa Rica, I had to learn. I had my first earthquake there, and I had to learn. Okay, it rains a lot here, right? So that means that by a certain part of the day, I get my play in, right? Obviously, I'm younger, so I'm playing a lot more and whatnot, right? But it means I get my play in, and by the time it starts raining for the day, I'm done. Like, I'm good. I can be indoors. I'm good, right? I mean, that's just really one small example, but it's just really understanding, like, with all this, there's so much Hamas stuff going on. Um, I mean, it's like prayers to all the families, because there's so much people going through it, and it's just a different form of genocide. People can act like it ain't happening, but it is. Stuff be happening right before people's eyes, and people just be like, "Oh yeah, that's just something on the news." There's a difference between propaganda and things that are literally going on. You understand? Things that are literally happening. Now, I'm not saying all of it's completely, true and none of it is false news. I'm not saying that. But you just got to understand the basics. Understand the basics. You got to be able to read between the lines. You understand? You got to be able to read between all the lines. Because they'll trick you. Nobody cares. You got that. You have the 1% of people that care, and then you have the 1% of people who don't care. You understand? Like, there's a balance. 9 times out of 10, when you walk out your house, you'll find some nice people. You'll find some douchebags. It's 50-50, right? It's definitely 50-50. You have to understand. I mean, it just goes back to the baseline of where you're at, right? Because if you're in a place that's not safe, whether you have to pack with you, you feel me? Whether you gotta have something loaded or something like that just in case, just to scare some people off, you know? It's you don't even have to have a gun. You feel me? It's like, but there's a if you don't live in a safe environment, you understand that you need to have pinpoints where you basically make your own safety. Pretty much, you make your own safety, right? And if you got kids, there's ways to teach kids without guns. Cause no, everybody don't love guns. Everybody don't like guns. Um, there's plenty of ways to teach your kids to stay on top of stuff, right? Don't treat your kids like they're toddlers. I get it. Most of them, like, okay, you're dealing with an infant. Use your head. The infant can't do anything. They're an infant, right? But to the point where they can start to walk and at least get some type of balance, right? Some type of balance. It doesn't mean that you just start giving them a bunch of weapons and nunchucks. No, right? But they understand, don't open that door, right? Unless it is a certain person, you don't open that door. Unless it is a certain type of knock or something, you don't open the door. Um, it's just, understanding the different levels of not just security, but it's like, okay, if this happens to the market, what's going to happen to my community? You feel me? If this happens to the S&P 500, what happens to the local community that I live in, right? It's not just about buying the stock, getting the stock. It's like, what's going down, bruh? What's going down with the things that are happening within your community? Do you understand? It's very key. People be so lost nowadays. And then on top of that, everybody want to be arguing rather than finding solutions. You understand? Just stop complaining and find solutions, right? So if you got babies, you teach them the basics of safety. It's like that's the biggest one with me. I have a background in childcare a good amount, so that's the biggest one with me. It's like, you don't open the door unless you know what I mean, unless we agreed about what we talked about, and it's not me, mommy or me or something like that, or whoever you trust with your kid, or just having things in the house where okay, your kid's in trouble because they didn't do this, or you understand. It's like understanding what's going down. People will be like, oh, I didn't know my kid was staying out this late, or I didn't know who they were with. You should, right? You would rather want to be that annoying parent rather than, shit, I lost control and I don't really know what's going on here. Excuse my language, right? But it's like the benefits of, let me get that one step ahead of you, right? Let me make sure things are locked down the way they're supposed to be, right? That you know the plan, I know the plan, we have a backup plan, we have a backup to the backup plan, and people can think you crazy, right? But it's like, okay, if a hurricane happens, if something goes down, right? You're like, oh, okay, 9 times out of 10, me and my parents came up with 10 different ways, and 10 is not a lot of ways. 10 different ways to be safe if something goes down, right? We have walkie-talkies in different areas of the city that we all agreed upon. You understand it? It's like you don't gotta like walkie-talkies. Figure out a plan for you and your family. It's just that simple. Figure out a plan for you and your family. Because if you don't, the state gonna figure out a plan for you, and they ain't got your best interests. I don't care where you live at. The state has like 49% interest. You understand? Like when you own in a company and you got that one, you own it, but you don't really own it because your homie got the other half, right? It's like, no. You need that 50-50, right? And if you don't got that 50-50, you take control anyways, and you make sure that you do what you got to do in case structurally communities break down. And no, it does not mean you just start shooting people. It don't mean that, right? Use your head, bro. Use your head. This is why there's so much commotion and nonsense as it is, right? You must understand the value of, you ain't gotta be perfect, but you need to know what's popping off. You understand? You need to know what's going on around you. It ain't just about the Rockefellers and, oh, they control this and they control, okay, cool, all that's great, right? Do you understand the cycles that are going on, right? I'm under 30, so there's certain things that I don't know generation wise, right? But I understand that there's a cycle. There was 9/11, right? And I learned that pretty much everything changed within the airport with that, right? So people get like, I was born into that, so I'm extreme. That's all I know. All I know is security in the airport, extensive security, Apache, all that, right? But to the point where you have other older people who are like, okay, nah, this isn't normal. They did not used to do this, right? You don't own your state. You understand? You are not the boss. You are the boss of your household, right? And if you were blessed enough to have a community that supports you, you're the head of the household for that community as well, depending on what you do, right? And what you have access to and how many people you support and all that kind of stuff, right? Some people help more people than others. It's just very simple math, right? But for the most part, if stuff goes down and you're not prepared, you're gonna be super unhappy. That's where you don't want to end up, right? You want to avoid what you can and be prepared the best you can, right? You don't go to the gym without some water, right? You don't go to the gym without proper shoes, right? You don't go to the gym without proper clothes. You don't go to the gym naked, unless you're living off grid and you're doing your thing, like nobody's gonna judge you, whatever. You live in the woods, do your thing. But 9 times out of 10, people ain't off grid like that. People aren't off grid like that, right? You have some form of standards of making sure that things happen and they get done, right? And if they don't get done, the purpose of the society is to make sure that they do get done. Because you can't rely, obviously everyone knows, right? You can't rely on senators and all that stuff. You can rely on them a bit, but don't be putting all your eggs in one basket. No, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket.